Millions of American Christians voted for Donald Trump when he ran for president in the last election, and millions more Christians around the world rooted for him to win. Many still do root for Donald Trump. Now, why is that? Because of his personal piety? Well, of course not. Trump, to his credit, has never claimed to be personally pious, especially religious in any sense. They voted for him and they still support him because he seemed like a protector. He seemed like someone who might save them from the growing and highly aggressive agnosticism, if not atheism, of, say, the technology class or the bureaucratic class, godless nations of other religions that oppose us. Donald Trump seemed like someone who would protect Christians from that, who was committed to the free exercise of religion in this country and who was also committed to ending abortion.
What you're about to hear stopped me completely in my tracks. Tucker Carlson, one of the most watched voices in American media, just said something about Donald Trump that millions of his own supporters are not ready to hear. This is not about left or right. This is not about politics. This is about something much deeper than that. This is about morality. This is about what we as Americans actually stand for. Tucker is asking one of the most important questions of our time, and the answer might genuinely change how you see everything. Watch this very carefully because Tucker is about to say something that the mainstream media completely ignored. Let's go.
Whether or not he himself opposed abortion, whether he was pro-life in any meaningful sense, didn't seem to matter. He would appoint justices that opposed abortion, that thought Roe v. Wade was unconstitutional. He did that. And that he would basically carry the flag for their issues, and that he was sympathetic to them. And they support him on that basis. Can they still support him? That's the question. And that's a question Christians should have begun to ask themselves on January 4th of this year. And that was the day that the president announced the arrest of the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who was, no question, an anti-American leader and a socialist, not someone most Americans liked or really had cause to like. So the problem was not necessarily that Trump was against an anti-American leader. In fact, that was a benefit in the eyes of most of his voters. The problem was why we did it and why the president told us he did it. And that was for the oil.
Stop right there. Did you hear what Tucker just said? He is not attacking Trump. He is not defending Trump. He is doing something far more powerful than both of those things. He is asking the one question that every Christian who voted for Donald Trump needs to honestly sit with. Not, did Trump do good things? He did. Not, did Trump keep some of his promises? He did. The real question Tucker is raising is this. When the moment came, when something happened that crossed a clear moral line, did anyone say anything? Did the church leaders say anything? Did the Christian voices who stood behind Trump say anything? Tucker says no. And what happened next is what makes this video something you absolutely cannot stop watching. Because what Tucker reveals about January 4th is something most Americans never even heard about. Keep watching.
So in the days before that operation in early January, the president tweeted out, sent out on his Truth Social account, and also said in public, we're doing this because we want the oil, because that oil belongs to the United States. He never explained how exactly the United States would own the natural resources of a foreign country. Apparently, American oil companies helped develop the oil fields in Venezuela, therefore we own the oil. That was the idea, and they stole it from us. But there was no real effort to explain how that works, how that makes any sense at all. Instead, you had the President of the United States say, we need the oil. Oil's really important. True and true. Therefore, we're going to take it. And therefore, apparently we did. In the days after that operation, the successful removal of the president of the country and the installation of his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, as president, our president, Donald Trump, held a widely publicized on-camera meeting with the heads of American oil companies and talked through how we're going to split up the natural resources of Venezuela and why this is great for America.
I need you to fully understand what Tucker just described. The President of the United States removed a foreign leader, then sat down with oil company executives on camera, and openly discussed how to divide up that country's natural resources. And Tucker's point is razor sharp here. It is not whether you liked Maduro or not. It is not whether Venezuela had a good government or a bad one. The question Tucker is raising is simple, and it is devastating. What is the moral difference between what was described and theft? Think about that for 1 second. If your neighbor has something you want and you have more power than them, does that make it yours to take? Tucker says no. The law says no. And most importantly, the Bible says no. And what makes this moment so powerful is that Tucker is not saying this as someone who hates Trump. He says, right at the end of this video, I would maybe vote for him again. This is someone who supported Trump now asking the hardest question. What do we actually stand for? Keep watching because Tucker is about to make the most important moral argument you will hear this year.
So why should Christians have paused at exactly that moment and asked, can I still support this? Is this what I voted for? Is this what I want? Is this acceptable? And the reason is really simple, because Trump at that moment revealed that the motive was taking something that we wanted. And that's not acceptable for Christians. In fact, that's not acceptable for Americans or any civilized people, because taking other people's stuff by force cannot be allowed. In fact, preventing that is the basis of our legal code. If there's one thing that every person knows, that is, in a civilized country, you can't steal without penalty. It's not allowed. That doesn't belong to you. You can't shoplift. You can't rob banks. You can't embezzle. You can't invade countries to steal their stuff, because they're all varieties of the same theme, which is theft. And theft is wrong. It's wrong under the American legal code, but it's also wrong under the Christian legal code. Theft is wrong. Spelled out really clearly. It's also intuitive. And here was the president saying, we're just stealing this because we can.
Tucker Carlson just said out loud what so many people have been quietly thinking, but were afraid to say. We're just stealing this because we can. Those are not Tucker's words. Those are the words Tucker is using to describe what the President of the United States communicated to the American people. And here is the part that really hit me hard. Tucker is not making a complicated political argument here. He is making the simplest moral argument in the world. One that every single person watching this video already knows in their heart. You cannot take something that does not belong to you. It does not matter how powerful you are. It does not matter how much you want it. It does not matter if you can get away with it. It is still wrong. A child learns this in kindergarten, and Tucker is standing here asking, why are we not applying this same basic principle to the actions of the most powerful government on earth? I want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Do you think Tucker is right? Is this theft? Or is there something he is missing? Tell me below, because this conversation needs to happen.
Well, as a practical matter, that's quite a thing to say out loud, given that we know from history that the things you do will be done unto you. Once you set a standard, you will have to live by that standard. Write a law, you will be judged by that law. So if the new law is, I can take it because I want it, and I have more power than you, at some point, we can rest assured the tables will be turned, and the things that we want and cherish and have earned and that we own will be taken from us by force at the moment when some other power has more force than we do. It's really simple, sometimes called the law of the jungle. And it may be the law of nature, but people don't want to live under that law because it is a brutal and unforgiving law. So they create higher laws, or they appeal to the highest law of all, which is God's law, which prohibits that. So this was a profound moment in American history, probably in the history of the modern world, where the most powerful nation said, if we want it, we'll take it. No one's ever said that before. Now, they've done it under the guise of ideology. They've made up stories to hide the fact they're doing it. But to say you're doing it implicates everybody else in the crime. You can't say you didn't know. Your president just told you on television, we took out their president because we want his oil. And at that point, you're an accessory to the crime, whether you want to be or not.
Tucker just said something that I genuinely did not expect. He said that by staying silent, by not speaking up when this happened, every American who heard this became an accessory. Not legally, but morally. And that is a statement that deserves to sit with you for a moment, because Tucker is not letting the politicians off the hook here. He is not letting the church leaders off the hook, and he is not letting us off the hook either. We all heard what happened. We all saw the meeting with the oil companies, and most of us said nothing. Tucker is asking, what does that silence mean? What does it say about us as a country? What does it say about us as Christians? And the answer to that question is what makes the last part of this clip the most important thing Tucker has ever said publicly about Donald Trump.
And it's at that point that a lot of people should have spoken up and said, I'm out. Not that I hate Trump or don't like his entire program. Lots of things about it I love. I'm grateful. I'd maybe vote for him again, but I can't support theft because it's immoral. But they didn't. Maybe some did, but certainly the leaders of the American Christian churches, by and large, said absolutely nothing. And maybe because they said nothing, this accelerated.
And maybe because they said nothing. This accelerated, let that land. Tucker Carlson, a man who supported Trump, defended Trump, and says he would maybe vote for Trump again, is now standing here telling us that the silence of Christian leaders in America allowed something deeply wrong to grow bigger and go further than it ever should have. This is not a hit piece on Donald Trump. Tucker makes that clear himself. This is something much more serious than politics. This is a question about what we as Americans and as Christians actually believe. Do we believe that the rules apply to everyone equally, or only to people without power? Do we believe that theft is wrong even when the most powerful country in the world does it? Do we believe that silence in the face of something wrong makes us responsible for what comes next? Tucker says yes to all three. And honestly, after watching this, I'm finding it very hard to disagree with him. Now I want to hear from you. Leave your answer in the comments. Do you think Tucker is right? Did Christian leaders fail a moral test here? And do you think this silence made things worse? This is one of the most important conversations happening in America right now, and I want your voice in it. If this video made you think, please give it a like. It helps more people find this conversation. And if you want to see more videos like this, videos that cut through the noise and ask the real questions, subscribe to this channel right now. Every single comment, every like, every subscriber helps this conversation reach the people who need to hear it most. Thank you for watching. And think carefully about what Tucker just said, because if he is right, the next question is, what do we do about it now?